Right. Hi boys and girls. So we're doing this thing, which is asking you to ask me something, and keep in mind that this is an informal kind of fun thing. We'll see how it works. But my boy Tommy Jackett, probably the greatest videographer in probably the world, possibly maybe the Southern Hemisphere, heading towards the world. We're doing a bit of stuff together. So
you like it how I didn't stop you there?
No, you just, that's good. You meant to go, no.
I just want to tell people where I know you from. When I started personal training, I did my course at 17 and I got your number off somebody and I called you up. And you're probably like, who the hell is this little idiot asking for a job at his gym
what
at
do you
17?
Want? Yeah.
But you let me come down to
snot-nosed jock. How long was that? 10 years ago?
Nearly 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, how old are you?
27. So 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Maths was not my strong point.
Yeah. Really good at filming stuff, not so good at maths, but that's all right. So we're doing a little bit of work together, and everything we're doing is a little bit trial and error, see what works, see what resonates. And if you like the stuff that we do, then give us a thumbs up and we'll do a little bit more. Let's have a crack.
All right.
Glasses on or off? What are you thinking?
On.
Do I look smarter with them on?
Take them off again, just one more look.
You dickhead.
One more time. It's up to you.
Let's go.
That wasn't one of the questions, by the way.
All right.
All right, so these have come through on your Facebook.
Don't ask me a hard one. Just start me off with something easy.
Jason Ozlowski. I think I've got that right.
Hello, Jason.
Jason says, was there a significant life event in your adult life that made you become more self-aware, or that changed your thinking, or did your self-realisation just evolve over time?
Wow.
It's a good one.
Fuckity fuck. So, I need to think. Was there an event? There's probably a bunch of events. So, I guess when I was, a couple of events that a lot of people know about. One was when I was young, I was a fat kid, and I had a few experiences around that. Then I lost a whole lot of weight, and then I became relatively obsessive about training. Got into weight training, become relatively obsessive about that, and was probably quite unbalanced. And I had a moment when I was about 22, when I was lifting everything in sight, eating everything in sight, and trying to be massive for no intelligent reason other than I was an insecure dick and I wanted to look good and impress people, which I don't think I was doing. But I had a moment where a friend of mine was over at my place, and I was in a pair of jeans and I was in the bathroom and I was shaving, and he came in to talk to me and he looked at me and he just had this look of horror on his face and said, what are you doing? Like, how big do you want to get? And you know, what's driving you to do all this? And I kind of had this moment where I looked at my friend's face and I think I'd lost a bit of perspective. So I was in the bodybuilding path, and for me, there's nothing wrong with bodybuilding, especially if that's going to be your sport. But for me, I think I'd lost my way a little bit, and I'd found I had gone to the point where what I looked like was who I am. So I found myself, my sense of self, and my identity in my body. And I just had a bit of a, whether or not it was a spiritual or an emotional awakening or something, but that was where I started to realise I was probably a pretty one-dimensional, shallow kind of representation of something I didn't want it to be.
So what did you do? What was your first step?
So I realised that I was reasonably addicted to exercise, but not in a healthy way. Well, there's no healthy addiction, but I was reasonably just locked into this paradigm of being obsessed with what people thought of me and how I looked and how strong I was and how big and how lean. And I was probably raised better than that. And so I started to explore other things where I started to question. I started to throw myself into a little bit of philosophy and theology and psychology and trying to discover who I was beyond my body. So that was one. And I guess there's probably a bunch, but the main one for me, I guess, after that was really starting and developing a business where I was reasonably good at training people. I set up what I think is the first personal training centre in Australia in 1990. I was reasonably good at training people, but I wasn't good at business, so I didn't So I threw myself into that, and over the next 5, 10, 20 years, I just learned a lot about relationships, people, management, personalities, egos, attitudes, business, money. And that for me was very transformational.
Here's a question for you, because I've been there, obsessed with the gym.
Yeah.
Clearly not anymore. But
You're gorgeous.
I've found I got better results when I stopped being as obsessive as I was. Did you? Like, as far as...
Yeah.
Sure, you weren't bodybuilding as much, but do you think your body responded to that lack of, addiction, exercise addiction?
That's an interesting question. So one of the stories I tell is I used to train 6 days a week and didn't even want to have a day off, but I trained 6 days a week for an hour and a half. Very hard. Took every supplement, trained well, ate, slept, did everything right. And I got to a point where I was really spinning my wheels. And at one stage, I was getting very, very busy with all of my clients. And I just went, I can't keep doing both. So I'm just going to back off. I'm going to, just for 3 or 4 months, I'm going to go back to 3 days a week of training. I know that I'll lose something. I know I'll go backwards, but I've got to develop my business. And I went back to 3 days training and my body responded super positively. So instead of having 1 day a week off, I had 4 days a week off, and instead of getting a 6 out of 10 result, I started getting a 9 out of 10 result because I was actually allowing my body to recover.
Good question, Jason. All right. Katrina.
Hi, Katrina.
Do you seek your own inspiration, Craig? Are there times when you feel like you are not hitting the mark? And do you have a particular technique to inspire an individual to seek their own light when they are in chaos?
Wow.
There's a bit in that one.
That's a long... I'm going to start with the first bit. What was the first? Can you read the first bit?
The first bit is, do you seek your own inspiration, Craig?
And do I struggle a bit? Yeah, I do. I mean, I think I'm lucky in that, blessed, lucky, whatever it is. I'm kind of hardwired to find the good. So I'm not a negative person. I'm a pretty positive person, and I get inspired by... This sounds cheesy, but it's true. I get inspired by lots of things. I was telling you, we just ate lunch, right? And you made this stupid video of your niece, which was amazing. And I'm sitting there watching this video of your niece who had just been delivered into the world. Yeah. And I found it inspirational. And I'm sitting there and I told you, I think it's 4 minutes or something, from minute 1 to minute 4. So the first 60 seconds I got through, I started blubbering like a baby, but I found it inspirational. So I can find inspiration anywhere. I can find it in nature. I can find it in people. Yeah. I can even find it in almost a reverse psychology way. When I see somebody doing something that I find abhorrent or something that repels me, it kind of teaches me, or there's a switch that goes, you don't do that. Don't be like that. In terms of staying inspired or motivated, I'm normal in that I go through peaks and troughs, and I think we sometimes think in order to be the best version of ourselves, to be super duper, to be high performers, or to fulfill our potential, or to create massive shift in our world, we need to be constantly motivated and inspired. And nothing could be further than the truth. So I always say the people who create the best results are the ones who can continue to do what success demands, whatever success is for them, in the absence of motivation. So if motivation's an emotional state, and for this conversation it is, where I'm motivated, I'm inspired, I'm up and about, I'm on an emotional high, that doesn't last. So, but that doesn't mean that's not a bad thing. That's a human thing. So, and I've spoken about this many times, where the reason that I do all the stuff that I do is because it's hardwired. So that's my normal operating system, and we might see what questions come through, but we might talk about that more.
One thing I know this is a bit different, but for creativity and inspiration for creativity comes in, and I got told this once, like, just if you're at an airport, pick up a magazine that you would never read about golf. I don't like golf, and I wouldn't read a golf magazine. But you can find stuff in there. So do you think there's any relatability to personal growth in that?
100%, because I think one of the things that we do is we are, the dichotomy is this. On the one hand, we say, I want to learn and grow and evolve and develop and become the best version of me. cognitively, we say that, but then emotionally we go, but I want to be safe and I don't want to do anything different, and I want to, like, I'm hardwired for all things familiar. And so we don't want to get far away from our little bubble. But when we do expose ourselves to new things, new ideas, new people, new situations, new challenges, new stimuli, we have to adapt. We have to adapt. We have to learn something. And so it's quite often it's the things that we don't want to do or the things that we don't want to consider or deal with that are the best teachers for us.
Next one, let's go. Julie.
Hello, Julie.
What resources inspire your daily Facebook quotes?
You know, I don't really follow a set kind of approach of, right, I'm going to read some stuff and then I'll get an idea out of that and then I'll rehash that into my own thing. It's very random. It's very, very random. And you'll, like, sometimes I'll write something on the board that's 6 or 7 words. And sometimes I'll write things that are 50, 60, 70 words. Most of the stuff that I do, or most of the messages that I share are out of experiences, out of a conversation, out of a moment in time, or out of seeing something where I go, oh, there's a lesson here. And I don't pretend for one moment that the things that I teach have never been taught before. Everything has been taught. You know, it's like there is no, in the context of life and us and relationships and behavioural psychology and what we do and how we interact and self-manage and communicate and connect and do life, there's nothing new. There's no new information. There's just familiar old messages that are retaught. And so when I teach people or when I share something, I try to do it in a way which is relatable to as many people as possible, fully realising that some people will think I'm a dickhead.
Yeah. Favourite quote that you've put up there? Because you put a ton up.
Yeah.
Surely there's one that is the most powerful for you. Is it the one about a fuckwit with abs is still
a fuckwit? I think that's your favourite. Well, I think, so, you know, here's the thing. Sometimes I'll write things and people go, I don't even know why you would share that. I mean, you know, what's the, you know, there's nothing uplifting or well, you know, it's like, here's the thing, like, even with that, which isn't my favourite, but, so the message was essentially, you know, you can be super strong and fit and lean and healthy and, you know, you do amazing things with your body, but a fuckwit with abs is still a fuckwit, right? So, but what I'm trying to say is that we are much more than a body, right? So if you get your entire, which I did, and I put up my hand, I go, this was me for a while, right? So there's no, what I'm trying to do is get people into, hopefully, a little bit of self-realization and self-awareness. I'm not trying to make people feel bad, but if we have an existence where, and just have a look at Instagram, where we get our entire sense of self and all of our approval and our identity and our kind of sense of who we are from what we look like, life's going to be tough because you ain't going to look awesome forever, you know. And it's trying to figure out who we are beyond our stuff, who we are beyond what we look like, what we have, what we own, what our brand is, you know. Even with, like, people often say to me, what if you're going to do something, get out of a fucking flannel shirt, for goodness sake.
Okay. I have not copied you today. I think.
See, but what happens is osmosis, right? So you knew you were coming over here today, and subconscious, your decision-making kind of part of your brain just plucked that out for you. Next.
I want to stop you there.
Sure.
Let's go, and because I know a lot of people ask about the whiteboard.
Right.
Let's go and have a look at the whiteboard.
Should we?
Yes. It's real.
It exists.
So tell me about this. Like,
well, I don't know. Like, it's interesting because you know, everything in social media is in a constant state of evolution. Like, what social media was. How old is social media? 8 years?
Well, I think Facebook.
10 years?
2005 or 4.
So let's say it's a decade-ish old.
10 years, yeah.
So everything, like everything in life, in medicine, in sport, in research, in technology, in social media, everything is in a state of change. And so, like, my core skills, I guess, are teaching and communication and connection. And so for me, this was just an extension of what I was already doing. But the funny thing was, the moment that I stopped typing messages and putting up typed messages into my timeline, and I started doing the same thing but handwritten on a whiteboard, for some reason that I'm sure some much smarter than me behavioural psychologists will tell us, that it created much more connection. So I would put up message A typed, and we would get X number of whatevers. Then I'd put up the same message a day later or a week later, and we would get 4X. So I guess part of it for me was trying to figure out, well, what do people like and what do they connect with, and how do I build that audience? Thanks guys. So we don't know whether or not this is going to work. We're constantly trying new things. So if this is something that adds value to your life and you'd like to see more Q&A stuff, let us know. If we get a whole lot of you saying, no, it's shit, then this will be our first and last one. But let us know, and have a good day.